So I've got the ROG Xbox Ally X in front of me, and today I'm going to be testing out how does Minecraft run on the ROG Xbox Ally X. So we're going to be testing out the Bedrock version of Minecraft in this video, seeing how it runs. Alright, so there we go, the game is launching. Alright, so we've signed in, and here we go. So first of all, I'm going to show you guys the settings that I'm using. I'm going to enable, so I'm running at the 17 watt performance mode, 1080p. We're not limiting FPS. We're enabling AMD RSR mode, and we're going to enable the real-time monitor as well. Then lastly, these are the in-game settings that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using vibrant visuals on favor performance, and then we'll adjust the settings and see how far we can push them once we're actually in the game. And I'll also do a test without vibrant visuals on as well. We're going to bump up the FOV to 80 because I think this is quite a normal range that people play on. And we're going to create a new world. We're going to just leave everything on normal. We're going to turn off multiplayer. Right, so we just left everything on normal. We're going to create a new world and let's see how it runs. So this is how long it's going to take to load in. It's just loading in right now. Keep in mind, this is the loading time for creating a new world, not for loading up a world that you already have. But here we go. So right now, we're getting, I would say, around 60 to 70 FPS. So it's definitely getting above 60 FPS for the most part. And the game looks really good. And as you can see, we're getting a decent amount of FPS over here. I'm not really experiencing any stuttering or anything like that. Overall, just seems really responsive and really decent. So yeah, once the area is loaded in, we're averaging about 70 plus FPS. Even going into the 80 FPS range at certain points. And if we're just traveling through the area, there aren't any major FPS drops, as you can see. So even when loading new areas in, we're staying within that 60 plus FPS range. So if you lock the FPS at 60, then you should be fine. There is some slight stuttering here and there. But besides that, only when really loading in big areas. Though keep in mind this is within the 12 chunk render distance. If we go into the settings and we bump up the render distance up towards, let's say, 20 chunks, that is when you'll see the FPS start to suffer and dip below the 60 FPS range. Now this is with vibrant visuals on, so that is something that we have to keep in mind as well. But it is for the most part staying within the 45 to 50 FPS range. A bit of stuttering here and there and some drops to 40 FPS when loading in new stuff. But overall, it is a playable experience. I'd recommend staying within that 12 chunk render distance. Maybe you can push it towards 14 or 16 chunks, but I'd stay within that sort of 12 to 16 chunk render distance. If we do 16 chunks, it is able to maintain above 60 FPS quite comfortably. There might be some very minor stuttering and minor drops as it's loading in new areas, but overall it is a playable experience. Now if you want to go outside of vibrant visuals, if we go ahead and just play the game, so let's go ahead and switch to regular fancy graphics, and it recommends 40 chunks, but I don't know if that's going to actually run well. Let's just try and see what happens. So yeah, it recommends 40 chunks, and remember, this is in the 17 watt performance mode. If we go on turbo, it's probably going to do better. So yeah, this is with 40 chunk render distance, by the way. And we're getting better FPS than we were with the 16 chunk render distance with vibrant visuals. So yeah, vibrant visuals needs some optimization because this device is definitely more than capable enough of running it. We're getting 50 to 60 FPS here with 40 chunks render distance on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, which is absolutely fantastic. And remember, we're not even going on to the turbo 25 watt performance mode. If we go into that, I think it should be able to do a lot better. And if you charge the device, you're going to be able to do 35 watt. But yeah, on the turbo mode, we're now pushing towards 100 FPS. It's somewhat between the 70 to 100 FPS range, but it seems to be running really well. Yeah, even pushing up to 110 FPS here, it's running really, really well. And I definitely recommend not playing with vibrant visuals unless you really love how vibrant visuals looks, and you're willing to trade off a lot of the performance and a lot of the render distance. I don't personally think it's worth it, but it just depends on you. But yeah, we're able to get 60 FPS consistently with 40 chunk render distance, which is incredible. Even if we stand up here, all of this is loaded in and it's still running incredibly well, way above 60 FPS, which realistically for a game like Minecraft, 60 FPS is all you need at the end of the day. Now, this is with the turbo performance mode, but if we go into the performance operating mode, you'll see that the game still runs mostly above 60 FPS, even with a 40 chunk render distance. Obviously, when you're loading in new areas, it's going to dip into the 50 FPS range, as you could see at the beginning. But overall, with 40 chunks render distance, which is the recommended render distance for the game, it seems to be running incredibly well. It seems to have really no major issues here whatsoever. It's a really smooth experience. It feels fantastic. 100 FPS, 40 chunks seems to be the sweet spot, and we've got it on fancy graphics. No vibrant visuals, but fancy graphics. And these are essentially the settings that I'm running with right now. If we do go towards the silent 13 watt mode, let's see the difference in FPS. Okay, with the silent 13 watt mode, we're still getting we're still pushing 100 FPS. Obviously, when it's loading new stuff in, it's going to go below the 60 FPS range slightly. But this is even playable on the silent 13 watt performance mode, which is absolutely incredible. On silent 13 watt performance mode, you're obviously able to push this even further if you go to 720p, but I don't really recommend going to 720p for the ROG Xbox Ally X at least. I don't really recommend that. But even on the silent 13 watt mode, this is doing incredibly well. And keep in mind, with silent 13 watt mode, the ROG Xbox Ally X is going to last you at least 4 or 5 hours, if not longer, with a full charge of battery, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, Minecraft runs really well on this device. If you're going to go ahead and use vibrant visuals on it, then don't expect the game to run really well. Vibrant visuals isn't really well optimized. It doesn't seem to run that well on consoles either, to be completely honest. It doesn't really hold 60 FPS on consoles. Even next-gen consoles, so it's not really fault of the device itself. However, it does run Minecraft Bedrock really, really well. And obviously Minecraft Bedrock is the version that most people are going to play on this device, since it supports controller natively. So if you can see, this is with a silent 13 watt mode, and it is going slightly below 50 FPS when it's loading in new areas. But if we boost it up to the performance mode, you'll see that the FPS is going to go a lot higher. You can see here 80 FPS, 60 to 80 FPS over here while loading new chunks in. So overall, I would say that these are the recommended settings for the game. I recommend you play on fancy graphics mode with 40 chunks. You can push this a little bit lower. You might be able to push it a little bit higher, but I wouldn't recommend going past 40 chunks. And don't enable improved input response, because it's currently a bug in the game that causes a memory leak. So I don't know if it's going to happen with this device, but I don't recommend you turn it on. I don't think it does very much to improve the input response anyway. And then you've got I'm not playing on full screen. I don't know if that actually helps with the FPS. It seems to be running the same. I don't think it makes a major difference to the FPS, but it might be worth using regardless. But yeah, and I recommend you play it on performance mode, 1080p. You can turn AMD RSR on. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. The game looks fine either way. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed nonetheless. I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.